Welcome inside another edition of the pregame presented by Twitch. Vince Sapienza alongside the 8-year NFL vet, former Raiders running back Rashad Jennings. A happy post-holiday to you and yours, Rashad. But we got to jump right into what is the final stretch, the home stretch, literally, if you will, for the Silver and Black as the Raiders finished out their road schedule in Houston, one of their most competitive games of the last month or so, and now looking to parlay that into the final two games, starting with a team you also know very well, the Big Blue Wrecking Crew, the New York Football Giants. Before we look ahead to that, I do want to get your impressions on the game, what you saw in Houston, and how we always talk about momentum, and players get asked, can momentum carry over? And I know it was not a win for the Raiders in Houston, but can that translate over into another week back here in Vegas?
Liz, first of all, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. But I tell you right now, if you talk about a moral victory, if there is such thing as one, this was one. We got one game that we can set our teeth into and say, you know what? We headed in the right direction. We went against the best defense in the National Football League and had toe-to-toe. If it wasn't for one or two plays, we think it could have been a different ball game, right? I thought we protected the ball well outside of one play that turned into a pick six that put us in an unfortunate situation. Outside of that, I mean, listen, we've talked about these young players. We talked about Genty, who performed at a great level. We saw some momentum. And if I got to Vince, I got to break this down to people why I'm so excited, because I actually saw momentum in what it looks like with the Raiders. So if y'all date back, remember the catch that Genty had, right? It was a 60-yard bomb. He catches a wheel route. He makes a defender miss, takes it into the end zone, touchdown, right? I'm if you go check out my Instagram, I made a whole video about it. I'm going crazy. In the very next series, this is exactly what happened. It was third down, third quarter with 9 minutes and 39 seconds left. The ball on the left hash, the 30-yard line, 1st and 10. Guess what happened, folks? 1st and 10. Remember, Genty just scored. They ran a ball on the right-hand side. They tried to get into the boundary. Stokes pressed his receiver perfectly. Textbook. Nowhere to run outside. Coons, he came across. He beat his fender to shed at him. Roberts is right there. Everybody's hat on hat. Perfect play. That turned into 2nd down and then 13. That 2nd and 13, the very next play, C.J. Stroud step back under duress, simply just throws a flat right out to the running back. Adams, boom, sticking. It's a negative 3 yards on a pass play. Folks, when I tell you this, as an offensive guy, as somebody who loves football, when you see a negative play on a pass play, that means defense is hunting. They're not waiting for you to cross the line. They're coming to eat you on the other side of the ball. And then it was 3rd and 15. Max Crosby come off the edge, sack. That was all in a row. So if you're a Raiders fan, you had a 60-yard bomb to Genty. You had then a quick 3 and out. And that's the momentum shift. I saw Raiders excited, and that's what I'm excited about, because that's the type of team we expect to see moving forward. That's what's in us. And then we saw Genty also, man, break a big play. Another big play for 51 yards, and it was 11 personnel, folks at home, if you don't know what that means. The first number is always how many running backs. The second number is how many tight ends. So 11 personnel is one running back, one tight end, 3 receivers. This turned into a 7-man box, okay? What does that mean? Just let me break this down. What does that mean, a 7-man box? That means they're usually running some type of soft coverage or man-to-man zone, right? So what happened was, with a 7-man box and you got 6 in the box, that means you should pass it. We ran it. There was an unblocked defender that Genty got clogged up in the hole. It was just a hat on a hat. Nobody did anything special. It was just hats on hats. Genty busts out 51-yard touchdown. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. When you can run the ball with a 7-man box, and when you can get a momentum shift like we seen against the top defense, I get excited, Vince.
I love it. I love the excitement, and as we look for that to carry over into their game against the Giants, against the number 31 ranked rush defense of the New York Giants, I might add. We'll get to Genty here in a minute, but the big news of the week, Rashad, was Brock Bowers, Jeremy Chinn being placed on injured reserve, both ending their seasons. Now, obviously, we know the impact Brock has. We've seen the impact Jeremy has. I'm curious, as you look to this game at Allegiant Stadium, who stands to create the most opportunity for themselves without them?
Yeah, so without obviously a Brock, you look at Myers, you're looking at who else can step in, right? We understand who Brock is. We want him healthy. We understand the season is over. We understand that him being healthy is more important than him going out there and something crazy happens. He's a franchise tight end. He's going to be there for a while, breaking records. Okay, he's not healthy. Let's put him on IR, give some other people a chance. These type of games are the games that separate, again, the pros and the NFL players. We're scouting right now. We're scouting our own team. We're seeing what we have, how the mix work. I always tell people it's like putting food together, right? Salt by itself has a taste. Pepper by itself has a taste. You pair them together, tastes different. So we're trying to pair players together, personnel together, ideas together. Who's going to fit and work moving forward? And again, it's a ton of players that have a chance to stand out. But I'm telling you, on defense, I'm loving the opportunities that Roberts is getting and showing that he's a player that's going to continue to stand out. I'm loving the secondary, our chances back there, and on the offensive side, I still am a fan of Jack. Jack is still he had this one bomb that got me excited. I stood up so quick. Was like, let's go. About time we got some action by this kid. So I'm expecting him to get more opportunities. You're playing against his two teams, right? We're sharing the same record at the bottom of the barrel. And just because of that doesn't mean it's going to be a fluke game. It's going to be a game where a lot of people are working for jobs.
Well, let's stay there, and I'll just ask you quite plainly, how do you navigate this situation, right? All the outside noise, everybody understands these two teams, their records, the implications that it could have here in a couple months. But as a player, as somebody who's been in that locker room, how does a player, how does a coach, how do you navigate, what is something to somebody else, a bigger macro look for the fans or for whoever may be the pundits, but for you, the micro look inside that stadium, inside that look of what Sunday is about and what it needs to be about. Because as you just said, it's an evaluation, not just for the coaches, but for the players and where they may or may not be moving forward.
Yeah, well, so it all depends, right? And every organization plays this out differently. I'm sure there has been, and I'm not putting any names to anybody. I'm not alleging anything, but I'm sure we're humans that there has been somewhere along the line where a team says, you know what, I'd rather lose. Why? Because I got a chance to get the first overall, and maybe I could trade that out for picks or get a player or whatever it is, depending on the position. I've seen those things happen. Is that a bad thing? No, honestly, it's not. But what does that mean to the player? Here's where the mix comes, and I don't think we're doing that. I don't know if anybody's ever done it. But if it ever were to happen, this is how it would play out. If the organization or the coach or whatever wanted to lose, well, what happens is the player doesn't. The player can't have a loser mentality. They never want to lose. Why? Because it's not their team. They're not promised to be here next year. They could get traded, cut, injured, anything can happen. So the player will always play to the max no matter what is going on. And in a situation like this, it's good to watch and see what kind of players you got because you understand they're not playing for a playoff. They're not playing for anything else besides to put resume on tape. So I expect, especially again towards the end of the year, I'll put it like this, Vince. If you're a kid, when you were a kid at home, right? We all been there before, and say our parents leave for a little bit, and they told you to clean up before they get back. It's like, okay. Okay, cool. Now they didn't gave you 2 days to clean. They go on vacation for 2 days, Vince. The first day, are you cleaning?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. You know what I mean? You might not even clean the second day. You might forget. But if you remember, if you get that call, hey, I'm gonna be there in 2 hours, you gonna get it together. So guess what? It's only 2 games left. And the chopping block is coming home for somebody. So yeah, they're gonna clean up the room. You're gonna see better play.
And do you think that's what we saw in Houston? Like, using that analogy, players see the light at the end of the tunnel. They see that the end of the season is coming to a close, and it's full out, giving everything they got. And how much do you expect to see that kind of similar performance, same juice, if you will, against the Giants and eventually in the finale against Kansas City?
It has to carry over, and it definitely will carry over. I think so. Two things. One, they know that kind of like the analogy where they're going off of. Hey, that chopping block, parents coming home, somebody getting cut. We got to perform well. One, two, this is one of the top teams, right? When you're playing against the Texans, you're playing against a top-tier team. You're playing against a playoff team. You're playing against one of the best defenses in the league, so you have something to prove, and it makes your resume a little bit more stout. Now, moving forward, playing against the Giants, it's like for some players, like, man, well, I know for the fans, it's like, it does. This game, it doesn't matter. But to us, yes, it does. So I think that it can have a momentum carryover, and then also the coaching staff has something to point out on tape of saying this is exactly how it's supposed to look. Like no excuses. We've done it before. You can do it again.
All right, Rashad, let's talk a little bit more Genty, shall we? Again, everything on paper said Genty wasn't supposed to get out of the backfield in Houston, right? Everything on paper said he's not going to get more than 10 carries. Well, he sets a career high in carries for the game, goes off for 188 yards at scrimmage. But I don't want to talk about Houston. I want to talk about what that means for the Giants. As I mentioned, the 31st ranked rush defense in the NFL. Smells like more opportunity to me. And if you're a team that just did that against that unit and you're getting set and getting ready for what is to come now against the Big Blue Wrecking Crew, what do you expect, and what did you see different in Houston that you think will translate to the matchup with the New York Giants, who have a pretty good front as well?
Oh yeah, Giants front four are no slouch at all. Okay, when you look at the Giants, you can't think about statistics or record because, again, they're one of the better teams in the league with one of the worst records. They've been close in every game, just about. They had a couple blowouts, but honestly, they've been in some close games. So this is a really good team, right? With the Giants, they're missing some players. However, what this means for Genty is obviously statistically looking at it that they are susceptible of giving up the run and also in the red zone. So I'm licking my chops if I'm with the Raiders, and I'm also thinking about why were we successful last week that we can translate this. The biggest thing that I saw Vince the whole entire game, I didn't see a lot of negative or broken run plays. All right. I didn't see a lot of free hitters. I saw some people that wasn't maybe blocked the best. What's the NFL? Heck, you can't all the time. But I never saw anybody so free Scott coming down the A gap wide open, hitting the running back before he barely could get the handoff properly. I saw Genty grab the ball, at least could press to the line of scrimmage. And from there, let the boy be special. That's what we saw when I said it was 11 personnel and it was a simple little handoff, a little inside zone. And the only thing he did was get behind the guys. There was no pressure. He found a seam, and it was ghost. He's not going to get tackled by the first guy in the open field. So this is the type of guy you got in the backfield. And also, trust me, folks, I know I'm kind of like talking way out of turn here, but you got to remember, too, moving forward, a lot of linemen are going to see what kind of running back that Genty is, and a lot of linemen want to block for guys that they think are very special. This helps in the offseason, but I digress there. I think he's a special player, and I think Genty is the run game. We need to continue to ride on it.
He's constantly told me, the media, and all season, he doesn't really look at stats. He doesn't measure himself on stats. And while I 100% believe him when he says that, I want to ask you, as somebody who had to go to the podium, had to talk, had to answer questions like that, he's now 172 yards away from getting to 1,000 yards. How much do you think is, and I'm not asking you to be in his mind, but as somebody who did it, how prevalent was that in the back of your mind, those types of milestones, especially with 2 games left and the game he just had, having the opportunity to maybe eclipse, a pretty significant milestone of 1,000 yards in a season?
He want to do it. He definitely wants to do it. And of course, so how I evaluate personally from a player who's been there and understand it, I evaluate how any kid handles the media based upon what he's willing to share and passionately or correct. I think it is right? You don't focus on the stats. I believe him when he says he doesn't focus on the stats. He shouldn't focus on the stats. Well, Vince, if I focus on looking out this ocean outside of my house right now, I'm going to see trees. I'm going to see the sand. I'm gonna see people. I'm not focused on him, but you bet your bottom dollar he knows how many yards he has to get to 1,000. So yeah, he focused on the big prize, but he sees it.
What a flex there. The ocean outside your window. Look at you, Rashad. Look at you during the holiday season. A couple more as we look to the importance of being back home, right? And again, this is a game that, again, you have familiarity, both former Raider, former Giant back. I'm curious, as the season wanes and the records are what they are for these two teams, it feels like the home team is going to have a little extra juice at this point of the season because they want to put on one more show for the fans. Obviously, there's two more opportunities for the Raiders to do so, but the Raiders haven't been able to put some good vibes inside Allegiant Stadium for a full 60 in a while. So how important do you think that is from a player's mindset? And again, similar to the Genty question, how prevalent is that in the back of their mind? Like, man, we need to give these it's been a long season for us. It's been a long season for them. We need to give them something.
Yeah, that's important, man. Your fans are a big part of the organization, and as a player, we know that, we feel that, we hear the rumbles. It's the 12th man on the field, and so you want to perform well at home. We always talk about in the National Football League, in any sport, really, is control home. You have to win at home. You win at home. Rule of thumb: win at home and go half and half away. That's kind of the idea of a winning, successful team. Win home games and split the away games. So the home game is very important, and you want to contribute to that momentum that you have carrying into the offseason. But it's not an easy task at all, especially when you're having a losing situation as we are with the Raiders. But I tell you this, the momentum that the fans have seen on an away game and performing like that, I tell you, the Raiders are clapping as soon as they come in the stadium because we know we got a team that's moving in the right direction. So if we continue that kind of play, oh yeah, I think Legion Stadium can be rocking.
Talk to me what you've seen out of Jackson Dart. Obviously, this is a guy that the Giants believe is their QB1, right, moving forward. Over 400 yards rushing by the quarterback himself, but he seems to he doesn't like to slide, Rashad. he doesn't like to slide. Do you think that – I'll ask you this way. Do you think that's him learning what he can and can't get away with in the NFL? Do you think that's just him as a football player that he's just not going to do it? Or option three, do you think he's trying to, prove his gumption, if you will, to his teammates and show the type of leader he is kind of in a physical mode as well?
Yeah, I think all things are very natural with Jackson Dark and how it's unfolding. I think he's a natural fighter. I think he's a natural leader. I think he's a natural fiery type of guy, and he's going to put his body on the line. And I also think he understands that the NFL, you can't run like that, but he wants to challenge it, just a little bit. I got two kids, and I had my oldest, she's 2.5, and the other one is 7 months, and I make them both a bottle, right? And I make the one for the infant and then the toddler. And then when I give it to the little man, I give it to my 7-month, big man finishes his, and he just stares and waits for his little brother to fall asleep. And he wants to take his bottle. I catch him taking his bottle, and I just simply look at him like this. He looks at me, smiles, and kind of just hands it back. He's testing his boundaries. He's simply saying what he can get away with. And I don't blame Jackson Dart to see what he can get away with. He found out really quick, you better get that bottle back, all right? Because this is not going to last. It's not going to be good for you over time. And I think that he's going to develop. I think he got a really strong arm. Obviously, last week, the Raiders defense really chopping there at the bit, knowing he only got, 12 yards, I believe, something very, very low, net 12 yards. So, he's a young guy. His receivers are kind of sporadic at this time. They got a lot of talent, but they can't put it together right this second. So I think you just continue to pounce on them and let them lick their chops. But yeah, Jackson Dart, I think he'll be a star in the league for years to come.
All right, when you look at this game and the difference between a win and a loss for the Raiders, what does this come down to? What is this game going to come down to at Allegiant Stadium, 1:05 kickoff on Sunday?
I think it comes down to who can turn the ball over the least. I think that team wins. Turnover margin but in this kind of game where it's scrappy, both teams have struggled throughout the course of the year, but both teams have some young weapons. I think it comes down to mistakes and who's going to hold on to the ball. If somebody's going to make a mistake, I feel like in this game. Oh, well, and I won't even say mistake. Somebody's going to aid it. Is it going to be a defender that kind of gets his hand in there, or it could be the quarterback backing up too long, holding it too long, tries to throw. It's going to be a fumble. There's going to be a quick turnover and put another team in a red zone right away, and it gives them a quick steal of at least 3 points. And I think a game should, and probably it's going to come down between one of those type of plays of 6 and 3 points.
Now, I asked you when the Raiders were getting set to play the Jacksonville Jaguars, where's the heart pulling you? Where's the heart pulling you? I'm going to ask you the same thing. Raiders, Giants, Rashad Jennings, Allegiant Stadium. What are our thoughts?
All right, so I'm excited, so excited for this game, Vince. I'm getting in my vehicle tomorrow. I'm driving the family up. I'm going to sit in the suite and watch this game. I want to sign autographs for both sides of the stadium. Like, it's a big game for me. I'm thrilled to be there, part of both amazing organizations. But no doubt, who am I rooting for? Listen, I'm definitely gonna have on a Raiders hat.
There
we
go.
Ain't no question about that.
There we go.
You can't come into Raider Nation and not expect me to rock out Raider Nation. So let's go Raiders, baby.
Well, we look forward to seeing you at Allegiant on Sunday. Again, 105 kickoff. We look forward to seeing all of Raider Nation show up and show out. Just 2 more opportunities to do so. The next one being Sunday against the New York Football Giants. This has been the pregame presented by Twitch for Rashad Jennings. I am Vince Sapienza. Make sure to find all of our episodes of the pregame up on Raiders.com, Raiders YouTube, or wherever you find your podcasts. Enjoy the game Sunday. We'll see you there, and we'll talk to you in the new year.